Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small businesses and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today started in 2018 with her ordering a sewing machine on Amazon and learning to sew watching YouTube. Now she's creating customized outer garments where art gallery meets streetwear. Please welcome the owner of Jacket Gypsy, Victoria Quednou. How are you, Victoria?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad we got a chance to kind of do this. I've been wanting to have you on. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
coming on. And during my lunch break, I always like to ask the question, what's your go-to lunch or sandwich?
My go-to lunch or sandwich. There is an Italian restaurant that is right by my work, and they have an eggplant parmesan sandwich that is chef's kiss. So I gotta be real hungry because it's big, but
Like, you got to name drop the place though.
okay, Chimento's, downtown
Okay.
St. Cloud.
Okay.
They have a good variety, but their eggplant parmesan sandwich is like so good.
I love that. Do you typically like eggplant parms or in other places, or is just...
No, it's like not a go-to for me, so it's kind of random. I usually like boring chicken salad sandwich kind of gal, you know.
Okay.
I love me a good Italian though. I will say they do have a good Italian now that I'm thinking about it. And now I'm hungry.
I like the idea. I love the idea of the eggplant parm though. That's a good one. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
all right.
That's good.
So let's talk about this whole journey here, because so you and I have known each other since 2018, and it's kind of fun because I've never really asked you like, hey, how did you start this? So this is my excuse to now be able to have this conversation of kind of where it went. So I want to know, based on the intro that I said, like, you know, you ordered a sewing machine, you learned how to sew, like, so tell me the origin story of how Jacket Gypsy came about. Like, what made you want to order a sewing machine and want to sew, and then where does it kind of led to where you are now?
So I guess we could start like growing up. I never took like fashion classes in high school or anything, but I was like cutting up my clothes. Like I was always like cutting my t-shirts and cutting my pants and just doing like whatever I could. So it stemmed from there. And then I went to hair school, and just like the creativity is like what fed me. I was like, oh, this is fun. So my uncle and I are really close, and he's super into fashion. Naturally, I was like, I want to be into fashion. Uncle Rick is into fashion. He is the one like really inspired me. And so I finally got over to Italy. My mom and I are blessed. We went to Italy. And I was also super inspired when I went there by all of the fashion, and they're like 10 steps ahead. And so it wasn't until I got back from that I was like, I'm going to start a boutique, you know? So I started this boutique, in the idea of people always told me how cute I dress. So I was like, I can just start a boutique. And when people are like, I like your outfit, I can be like, you can shop on my boutique. And it sounded like a really good idea until you bring in like other competitors and inventory and like getting things in the mail, and like sizing is not what you thought it was, or the material. So then you face all those challenges, and then you're sitting on inventory, and then I'm like, okay, this is like really like expensive hobby now. And like, I'm not the best at social media. So it was not something that I was just like pumping out on social media. So I decided I need a niche. I need to figure something out. And that's how Jacket Gypsy was created. I was like, I'm going to make my own clothes. You know, I'm going to make something like at least custom. I feel like people love something that's like tailored to their style. So yeah, YouTube University, signed right up and got my sewing machine on Amazon, and a lot of trial and error, but we got here. So
where did the idea of like, once you figured out, hey, this is too broad and I'm not, you know, when it comes to like the boutique and buying, and it's got to be very hard to be able to kind of, you know, have everybody and fit everything and try to do it. And then do you have enough? I know, because I do it with t-shirts, so I totally get it. How did you come up with the idea that you wanted to do jackets? Because that's kind of how I first met you. Like, you were like, hey, I created these jackets. And then tell people a little bit, like, if they've never heard of Jacket Gypsy, tell them like what they could expect to see, or what it is that, you know, they'll be seeing when they go online and when they see you at a market.
So basically, when I use like the little slogan, art gallery meets streetwear, it's because I'm combining something like everyday wear, like a jacket. I feel like a denim jacket has never will go out of style, and it's just easy to grab if you're going to a restaurant, out wherever you grab a quick jacket. So I'm, take something like everyday wear, like a jacket, and sewing in like high end material, bridal-esque, very embellished, beaded, floral sequins fabric, and I will cut out pieces of the jacket and sew that high end material in there. So it definitely makes a statement, and it's super customizable to be like, if you want something glitzy, if you want something more like lace or subtle, or it's super cool to see what people get attracted to. But then on top of all that, I live in Florida where it gets to be like 100 degrees, and this is a way of wearing something that keeps you kind of like warm when you're in a restaurant, but it also has like the breathable back with the fabric, and it's just much more comfortable to wear.
Yeah, you have. It's pretty cool to see some of the stuff you've done where like almost most of the back is out, is kind of cut out, but you have this amazing sequence of material on the back. So it's almost like a, not a sheer, but it's kind of, but it's like, so it's airy. It almost does work really well for like a Florida. And it's fun to see all the different ideas, because I've seen some. I think you've painted some as well.
Yeah, I've dabbled with painting and embroidery. Simple things like band t-shirts, and I've tried to touch all the areas, but it's fun. It's fun for sure.
When you started this, so I always love to talk to people who basically lean into the niche part of the thing, and you're doing markets and things. Like sometimes you're perfect for someone. You're like, oh my God, I needed this. And then there's also, they're like, why did you do like? I don't know if you got any like naysayers or like, why are you doing this? Or, oh, this is really pretty, but no, I wouldn't wear this. Like, do you deal with a lot of that? Like, how do you balance that? Because that's always the hard part when you try to be, when you're specific as a brand. It's like versus it being like, being so generic, because obviously then you're not, it's, I don't know. I'm always kind of curious on how you handle that aspect of it.
I will say at markets, you meet like all the types of people, and I'm very grateful that I do get a lot of people that appreciate and admire my work, because I feel like creative market kind of things don't always get the love that they deserve. Like, another person that's not quite creative won't really appreciate the price or what goes into it. So I feel blessed that I get a lot of people that stop and admire. And even if it's not something that they absolutely love, they're like, this is so cool. But on the other hand, I have people that come up and are like, I cannot leave without this. Like, I need so many. So I am blessed to say that I have a good, group of people that stop and admire. And I always take it as an extra compliment. No offense when like a guy will appreciate my work, because I feel like men aren't always brave enough to say that they like something so glitzy, or even just be open enough to, look at it. So that's kind of cool too. But I will say I try to have things that are not just my style. Is probably like the hardest thing, is to not create things that just I like, but just having to think like, okay, not everyone likes pink and glittery things. Like some people like black and edgy, and they like, more grungy things. That's when I switch. So I used to make them just to make jackets and sell. And then I realized that the customability is really what people love. So now I have an option where you can kind of create your own jacket. So we've been evolving throughout.
And that's something that I definitely love that you do, because I seen that you kind of have like a few ways of how people can, and I always appreciate when people figure out ways of like, okay, well, how can I get more eyes on me and more people to see what I'm doing and creating? So like, I love the fact that you can buy online at like Depop, on your Depop site. You also do like your pop-ups, but then you also have a design bar, which you have at your location, your salon location, Each and West. And so I love the fact that you have figured out like, hey, this kind of works, because then you get to customize it. And then of course, when you're customizing it, you're also going to be like, hey, I'm willing to pay a premium, a little bit more premium, because I get to choose what I want and what it is, and like, it's something that I made. I mean, who doesn't want something that, that they can wear, that they enjoy? and that you customize.
Yeah, and just to go back to your previous question, I'll just touch on the fact
Yeah.
that I feel like as an artist, people can often relate of like pricing your work is one of the most difficult things that I deal with because just because I would pay for it doesn't mean someone else would pay for
Yeah.
it. But I've also learned that it's not necessarily the price; it's just finding the right person that that jacket was like made for, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that. So that's been cool too. It's like I feel like every jacket will find a home. It's just a matter of where they'll land, and that's why I love doing the pop-up shops because I
Yeah.
do meet so many incredible people. It's like fuels me to meet and just make new friends and just the energy. So it's fun. It's definitely fun.
Victoria, when you do for like when you go for the jackets and stuff, how are you kind of figuring out like where or how are you getting your jackets? Because obviously that's like the canvas of what you're creating. I'm always just kind of curious, like where do you get those?
So I would say like 95% of the jackets that I use to either make or a part of the design bar are new jackets. I found a really good retailer, like a wholesaler online where the quality is there. And I do think it's more of a luxury item. So I do want it to be newer
Yeah.
things. Totally love me a good thrift
Yeah.
haul. I love thrifting, but just like for this aspect, I do like to keep everything new to pair it with the high end fabric. However, in the last like maybe month or two, I started to do more like a thrifted side where I found this like badass biker bomber jacket that at a thrift store that I was like, this is like too good not to pass up. And I found another jacket that was like, it was lined in like cheetah print and it was reversible. So I'm trying to throw in there like some cool jackets as well as all new jackets. And then I do have occasional army jackets, which of course, shout out to the vets. Those are, you know, thrifted. So yeah, I do have a good combination. So if they are thrifted, they're like really cool and kind of have a story. But other than that, they're all new and just
Yeah.
like truly yours. So
No, and I like that also because of the fact that it does give a unique aspect to it. I think it also probably inspires you when you see some like when you're thrifting and you see different styles of like as someone who loves fashion kind of blend in some of the vintage of some of the things that you come across and you're like, "Ooh, I could do that. I could do a lining, add a lining to my jacket,
mhm.
based on that as one of those things." So, I think that's super great that you've kind of figured it out and kind of mixed it up. How have you handled failure?
Handled failure, I feel like pretty well. I definitely had plenty of moments where I'm like, I'm throwing in the towel. Just social media in itself can be discouraging, and I feel like I've been doing this for a while that I'm like, oh, like I feel like I should be more blown up or more popular, but it's just a part of my journey, and I've definitely have grown. I need to give myself credit. So I feel like, you know, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, and I just take it all as like a learning experience, even if, you know, I didn't do the best at a market or I didn't sell as much, whatever. I just like exposure is great and meeting people is awesome, and you always learn something, you know, or even behind the sewing machine too, I'm always learning something.
I think I appreciate, and this is one of the things I've appreciated since we've known each other, because we've known each other, and it's funny because like when I said 2018, I was like, holy cow, like we've known each other for a long
Long
time.
time, yeah.
And one of the things that I think, and I trust me, I have the same exact like all the things that you said are like everything. Like I'm like I should have blown up by now, or what's
Right.
going on with this, or why aren't I? And then like you keep trying, and then you're plugging, and then you have your moments, and I'm kind of curious, like do you ever have those moments where when you like when you say it like something you're like, man, why am I even doing this? Does the universe ever respond back to you, and then all of a sudden you're like okay, like you may have a moment of doubt, and then the unit like something happens. I don't know what it is sometimes where I'm like someone will say something that you didn't expect, or something will occur that kind of keeps you back on your path. Have you
Totally.
had things like that happen to you?
Yeah, totally. And I'm sure you can relate as being a small business owner. Sometimes you think it's going to go one way in your head, and then it's like, nope, it didn't quite happen. But then like you said, the universe is like, nope, pucker up. Like, it's fine. I'm going to throw this your way. And either someone reaches out to me or I get a couple orders. It's a emotional roller coaster owning a small business, without a doubt. I'm sure
It,
you know the feeling.
and of course, the other part of it is, and we'll add this to it because you are technically a double small business owner because you also do hair at H and West. That's the other part side of you. That's
Yes.
another small business. So it's another small business that you're, trying to get the word out. It's competitive, trying to
Mm-hmm.
get people to come. So, and one of the things that I think is super awesome that you've kind of done is, and I mentioned it was like at H and West, you have like a design bar. So you kind of have it set up where you're like, well, this is my office. This is where I do everything. So I can do your hair. It's basically like a creative lab, basically
Yeah,
for you, right? So like you're
totally.
basically, I can do your hair, and then at the same time I could also work on stuff. Then there's also product that people can come and actually use and actually like create their own jacket and do all that stuff there. So I love the fact that you've kind of, you're like, I'm gonna multitask my space to repurpose it in a way where it kind of works for me and also works for my clients. But at the same time, like, that's got to be difficult because you're also balancing two jobs, two businesses, and obviously the beauty, you have some flexibility obviously from scheduling for
Mm-hmm.
the salon aspect to be able to sell, but I also know weekends probably are big for hair as well because that's when people
For
are
sure.
available.
For
So how do
sure.
you balance that?
It's something I struggle with to this day. If people are like, "Oh, you're so blessed. You make your own schedule." And I'm sure you've seen the meme where it's like, "I didn't want to work, 9 to 5. So now I own a small business and I work 24/7." So that's super relatable. Personally, I'm someone that doesn't do very well, like sedentary and sitting still. So I'm like to be busy. So it's definitely a struggle lately because being a hairstylist is my full-time job, and Jacket Gypsy was just like a part-time thing that now keeps me pretty busy where I have to schedule it into my calendar to, fulfill orders and get to markets because people either need to come get their hair done on the weekend or after work, and markets are on the weekend. So, the weekends fill up pretty quick. It's definitely something that I have to schedule quite in advance. My clients are really good about that, like knowing that I'm just one girl. I'm just one girl doing it all. So, yeah, it's definitely a battle, but I enjoy it and I really wouldn't have it any other way. So it's fun. It's fun to have it all in one place. I'm blessed to have found this hole in the wall. I'm actually at my salon right now. So it's just a perfect little hole in the wall, and I have a sewing corner and my hair corner, and then this is the design bar behind me actually. So it's perfect. It's really cool that it kind of all falls into one too. It's, your hair and your clothes, your girl's confidence. So, I hold that very preciously in my hands.
Where did the name Jacket Gypsy come from?
Jacket Gypsy, me and my best friend Taylor were always just identified ourselves as two little hippies, two little gypsies, and I really think it was like an epiphany I had one day, like simply like I'm working on jackets. Me and my friend were like little hippie gypsies. And yeah, it kind of just had a nice ring to it. And I kind of ran with it. And I'm very indecisive. So for me to have stuck with it this whole time is actually kind of impressive. But I will say the other most frequent question I get is, where did the name H and West come from? It's
Yes.
like the $1,000,000 question when people are in my chair. So the letter H stands for hair, and the word West is sew backwards. So hair and sew, H and West.
I love it.
So yeah, there's like a little hidden meaning behind that. I remember telling my dad that I'm going to name my salon H and West, and he was like, "That's a dumb name." I said, "Thanks, Dad." And so it definitely throws some people for a loop, but I like the little story behind it for sure.
Do you still have, do the Jacket Gypsy label, sew in a Jacket Gypsy label inside your jackets?
So I do, and so when I first keep going with the name
Yeah.
situation, when I first started my boutique before it was Jacket Gypsy and I was just reselling the clothes, that shop was called Victor Victoria, Victor being my uncle Rick. And I was named after him. So that was like a sentimental thing, Victor Victoria, but that was also quite the mouthful for people. People always called it Victoria Victoria, Victor Victor. So that's when I was like, oh, I got to change this name. That's where we have Jacket Gypsy. However, up until recently, I would say, about literally 2 months ago, I have had all of the jackets have had a Victor Victoria tag sewn into them. So those will be like from this day forward, like exclusive. I've now changed it to have a Gypsy tag on the outside. So it's just better branding for me. It's on the outside of the jacket versus the inside of the jacket. It's something like eye-catching. It
Yeah.
kind of was inspired by the Levi, the little red Levi
Yeah.
tag. So I now have my own. It's a bit bigger and it's tan and black and it says Gypsy on it. So, those are now the new tags. And if you have a Victoria tag, you have like a very I would almost say like collectible jacket at this point. It's fun to just keep evolving and we'll see. Like I said, I'm indecisive, so I may change my tag again. I ordered a smaller amount, so we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, you still can definitely do one inside of it, because I think just for the mere fact that you can then have like your full name, or Jacket Gypsy, part of Ancient, because Ancient West does sound like a good clothing brand or a brand name. So I think it's like it totally works. It totally works as all of those things. But I was always curious because I remember when we started talking, that was one of the things that you were going to be doing, was putting in like the sewing in, and I was like, you have to, because I feel like when you're creating art like that and something that people appreciate, like people like being able to look and go, oh, where's that from? And then even if you don't remember, you can look somewhere on your article on yourself and be like, oh, it's, either open up the jacket or like, I'm like, oh, it's Jacket Gypsy. It's like, this is where I got it from.
Because you have on the bottom of your t-shirts or the Deli Fresh Threads.
I do have on the bottom, and I will tell you that I'm at a weird crossroad, because it adds time, there's cost, and it just gets harder and harder to do on all my shirts, that I'm actually leaning towards getting away from that. As much as I love them, and I have so many labels,
right?
But I noticed that it was adding another week to my process. Plus, it was getting harder and harder to find my seamstress to be able to do it, because it's like when you're doing that many shirts and you're doing whatever, it's to do it. So I've actually, the last few I haven't, and it's one of those. It bothers me, to be honest with you, because I like the hem. It does add another layer of classic, or another, it just I don't know, brings up and it up levels your brand a little
for
bit.
Sure, makes it a little more luxury. For sure.
Correct. No, I totally agree with that. How many jackets do you think you've done? Jacket Gypsy jackets do you think you've done?
I just, when I reordered tags, I was kind of thinking, I used to have, I'm very much a pen and paper kind of gal. Like, this live streaming thing was a lot for me to get on my phone. Yeah. See, look at you. Love it. I knew we got along for a reason. For the longest time, I had a pen and paper of every jacket I've sold and who bought it and this and that.
Wow.
And it's the craziest thing, but my precious little notebook ended up in the washer machine. Ever since then, I just never started another list. I was thinking, I think I ordered about 400 Victoria tags, and I went through all of them. So I would say anywhere between 400 and 500 jackets, because I know every jacket didn't always get a tag. So, and I made quite a few jackets before I got the tags. So yeah, I'm going to like round up and say 500.
Okay. That's impressive.
Thank you.
How many, so I'm always kind of curious on like the aspect of, you obviously came up with the idea to do this. How many jackets, like, are all your jackets like Jacket Gypsy jackets? Like, have you basically modified pretty much all your jackets just like you did when you were younger? Is that something that you technically still,
Kind of. I feel like for being the owner, I should have more. I have a decent amount of clients that are repeat clients that are like obsessed, and they're like, I have 9 of your jackets. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. So, I do have not as many as you would think, but like I have this jacket that I plan on doing something to. It's just finding the time. Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to also just find like cool jackets. Like, this was giving like a cool Western vibe to me. So I feel like I do, if it's not a jacket, I'm either altering my clothes somehow, just taking them in, cutting them, bleaching it somehow, putting 2 things together and making it one. So I'm also very blessed that 3 of my really good friends, they're also very creative. So having like a core 4 of like creative girlies to bounce ideas off of is just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I love that. No, I think it's awesome. Seriously, like you, I know you say like, oh, social media, this and that, but like your pictures are always awesome. I always love you. I enjoy your pictures.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
always dressed to a T. Like
Thank
your
you.
style is your styles. I love it. So it all makes sense,
Thank
that this
you.
would be. So no, I think it's I think I've been doing this lately. And I don't know why I didn't do it before, but it was one of those things where I want to talk. I think it's so important, and I think I mentioned it about how like the universe sometimes listens and does certain things. I want to give my guests an opportunity to put stuff out into the universe.
Oh,
So
okay.
what, I don't know why, but I did this recently. I just did this recently with one of my guests, like not even like only like a few guests ago, and I was like, and I basically will put it out there. Like, is there something you want to put out there, whether it's you would like something that you would love for Jacket Gypsy to have, something Jacket Gypsy related that you would want to put into the universe, whether it's like a client, a place that you want to see Jacket Gypsy available for people to be able to buy, or your dream collab. Is there something out there that you want to be able to throw out there that that who knows, maybe we'll put it out there and we'll see what happens.
The first thing that comes to mind is having Jackie Gypsy in other small businesses and almost wholesaling them to businesses is definitely something I've been working towards. I kind of going back and forth because the design bar has been such a hit that I'm like, well, maybe I just stick with that. There's been plenty of markets lately that I really haven't even sold a jacket that I've made myself. It's all orders. But in the question, I would definitely say wholesale and have it available in more stores than just Florida. And like dream client, there's plenty of girls that I would like kill to dress or
Is
like,
there one? Is there one right now that you're like, man, I think she would look killer, or he would look killer in one of my jackets?
right? Because I have plenty of male clients, but it's definitely like a far stretch. But like Miley Cyrus and Halsey are
Okay.
just two like pop icons of mine that I would bring tears to my eyes if I saw Halsey or Miley Cyrus in one of my jackets for sure.
Okay.
Like their stage performance could handle it.
I love that. I love that. And I do think that, it's funny because when you were talking about the design bar and everything, my thoughts started going with, I've seen, like, why can't you do this as a thing where people can do like and this is something, and I'm going to start. This is me once again. It's just you, and you know how I am sometimes with you. Like I'll start coming up with ideas,
I love it.
and I'll just use it. Have you talked about maybe doing like some kind of, not maybe a workshop, but maybe like do a pop in where you like where people can come in and do something like that at a shop or somewhere where you're kind of either maybe not showing them, because obviously I want the idea is for you to do it, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is for you to show them, but maybe you're bringing the material and they're doing it and they're trying to work on it, or just even kind of one of those where it's like a kind of like exactly what you're trying to do, just
Mm-hmm.
like maybe in a smaller intimate setting where it's like bring some cheese and some wine and bring your girlies over and then kind of
Yeah.
do this and sew up and do something like that. Have you looked into doing something like that, like a collabing at a space, or trying to
Yeah.
bring that a little bit more to a smaller private setting for people to come do some shopping?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because recently, the last few pop ups I've done, people have asked me almost the first thing that I think of is like a Tupperware party kind of vibe, but make it a little more modern and more fashionable. I'm not against it at all. I think that would be so fun. And also, just because you are familiar with the Orlando area, I know House on Lang. They are a really cute small space
Yep.
that I feel like would be perfect for me to collab. I would absolutely love that. And even if it wasn't me sewing like a jacket and it was making just something custom, people love, like I said, anything custom that's,
Yeah.
true to their style, I think would be so fun, even if it was like a tote bag or, a little. I've made these like custom bandanas in the past, like something that I don't necessarily do anymore, but I feel like would be a hit. So I totally think that would be so fun. So maybe I
Yeah, and
add that to my bingo card.
I do think so. Yeah, not that I should add more things to your list to do,
That's
but
okay. Pile it on.
but I do think and the reason I bring things up like this is because obviously it does go with the name Jacket Gypsy. Gypsies are known for roaming around, going to different places, popping up,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think that if you can come up with something like that, I love the idea of a bag, like the bag aspect of it, because
Mm-hmm.
also that's an accessory that kind of goes as an extension of a jacket.
Totally.
as an accessory. Not to mention, it may even be easier for you on some ideas of a tote compared to like to design a tote or whatnot instead of a jacket, and especially I
Mm-hmm.
got a quick market. But I do think that that is something that does kind of just something I think that would be different, that I think people would appreciate or be able to like, they'll, especially if you're doing it at something that is creative like that, and they know that, and it's a party, and you're like, people come and they're drinking some wine and they're picking out, who doesn't want to go shopping, do a little shopping, and then designing your own your own jacket, and then you get to
For
then at
sure.
the end of the night you order your jacket, you have like 3 or 4 different styles of jackets and the fabrics and everything, and then they all kind of pick it. I like this idea. I'm gonna start thinking of places. I'm gonna send you places later of where I think you might be able to maybe talk or see, if maybe they might be interested in doing something like that with you. But I
I
love
would
the
love
idea of
nothing more.
House of Lang too. I love that. I think that's a good one. Have you ever talked to them before?
A while ago, and I wanted to go to one of their events recently, and it was sold out. It was super last minute, so I was like, "Shot in the dark. Do you have any availability?" And she said no, but yeah, I got to get in there and network a little bit. Get in there.
Especially since you're going to be the event is what it's going to
Yeah,
be. Just so you know,
yeah.
you're the event
Thanks.
that people are paying for to come see Victoria and Jacket Gypsy. That's where I'm going to put it out there for you, just so you know.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What advice do you have for someone wanting to start something?
Don't give up. If I could do it, anyone could do it. I think that you can, my mom always said, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Just, you can learn anything you ever wanted with the internet, at the tip of our fingertips today. So there's really like no excuse, not to get all Kim K on everybody, but I just think that really nothing is impossible, like with the day of the internet. So it's, you can do it.
I love that. I love that. Where can people give the list of all the places people can follow you? Obviously, on your Instagram and all those things. It'll be on the show notes as well. But just where can people give you a follow and check out your product and maybe design their own jacket?
Yeah. So Instagram is the best way to keep up with me at jacket_gypsy. Not on the TikTok world yet. That would probably be helping me blow up, but I'll let you know when I get there. I'm also on Depop, where you can buy jackets that I have made. That's Depop/Jacket Gypsy. If you don't know what Depop is, it's just another app where you can buy vintage and secondhand clothes. I've had a bit more success on there than Etsy or anything, but I'm also have my shop that we're here right now is downtown St. Cloud, which people aren't really too familiar with St. Cloud, but we're getting there. Our downtown is
Growing.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely worth coming by. There's plenty of cute shops and places to eat and things to do. So you can get your hair done here, or you can design a jacket. And right here is where I have the design bar. You can either pick a jacket of your own, or if you brought a jacket to me that was already in your closet, I could upcycle that, which is like people really love when I
Yeah, I
tell
was
them
gonna
that
say
part.
I love that idea and I think we had talked about that in the past, just because it's already a jacket that they love wearing, and you're just gonna make it better.
Right, right. And then I'm like, girl math, it's not really buying anything new if it's in your closet already. So we love that. And then also downtown St. Cloud, there is the cutest shop around the block from me called Blissology. And she sells my jackets that I have made already. So you can shop in there, and you can pop over here if you don't find anything that you love. But I've had plenty of people mail stuff to me, whether that just be a jacket or that be a jacket and material and their favorite band shirt, and they kind of give me like a make this for me package. So it's fun. And then I do pop-ups all over. I go over to St. Pete and up to DeLand and over to Melbourne and Cocoa Beach. So I'm like zipping all over the state all the time.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever done Orlando Fashion Week or anything like that?
no, and believe it or not, I got a scam call for that recently, or like Miami week, and I was like, looks like fake. So no, I would love to be a part of it, but not yet.
I'm
Not
throwing
yet.
it. I'm
We're
saying
gonna
these
add
things.
that to this.
By the way, I say these things because this is the energy that I feel for you that will happen.
Thank you.
And
Thank
so
you.
if I at least put it out there that someone hears it or sees it, we can make it happen for you. That's what is the intention. So
Thank you.
Victoria, you are awesome. I always love getting to see you. I was very fortunate that I got to see you, and it's funny. Like right before I booked I reached out to you to be like, hey, we should. I was like, we
Mhm.
actually got to do a market, and I got to spend some time with you
So
and
funny.
reconnect with you, and which is great because we sometimes, with life and doing different things, sometimes we see each other and we don't, like, we'll see each other online, but we don't get to see each other in person. So I'm glad we got a chance to spend a little lunch
Yeah,
break together. I appreciate it.
totally.
That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Victoria from Jacket Gypsy for being
Yay.
on the show with me. Definitely make sure to check out her brand. You'll see all the show notes. Make sure to go online, see her at a market. Hey, if you have connections, Halsey, Miley Cyrus,
Oh my gosh,
Orlando
please.
Fashion, whatever. You think, hey, I got a shop that I think would be awesome to do one of these like design bars. Reach out to her. Let her know.
Yay.
Let her know that you heard it here, and definitely do that. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends. And if you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads.
Do it. Do
Thank
it.
you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.